If we are interested in obtaining equivalent equations, we need to know what steps will give us an equivalent equation. One property that gives us an equivalent equation is the multiplicative property of equality. The multiplicative property of equality tells us that for any number that is not 0, the equations a equals b and a times c equals b times c are equivalent equations. As an example, the equations x equals 4 and 3 times x equals 3 times 4 are equivalent. I've written the multiplication on the left here, but of course that's okay because multiplication is commutative. Why are these equivalent? Well, clearly the equation x equals 4 is true only when x represents the number 4. On the other hand, 3x equals 12, again we've simplified the 3 times 4. This is true when x represents the number 4, but it's false if x represents any other number, because any other number times 3 is something other than 12. Things to be alert for. This is a problem if we multiply by 0, right? The equation x equals 4 is true only when x is 4. But the equation 0 times x equals 0 times 4, that just says 0 equals 0, which is true no matter what. These are not equivalent. For this reason, we must be careful if we multiply both sides of an equation by a variable expression. We have to be careful that those variable expressions don't represent the number 0. For now, we will avoid entirely multiplying both sides of an equation by a variable expression. Now, this property is often phrased as, we can multiply both sides by the same thing. Again, we have to be careful. We can multiply the expressions on both sides of an equation by the same non-zero number. Of course we can do that, but why? This gives us an equivalent equation. One more note. Since division is just a fancy way of writing certain multiplication, this property also applies to division. For any number that is not 0, the equations a equals b and a over c equals b over c, those are also equivalent. The restriction that c not be 0 is a little bit more obvious in this case, since dividing by 0 doesn't make any sense at all.